Welcome back, part two, Sheffield Live TV, talking Sheffield of a Thursday night. Lots of more football to get through. James Shield of the Sheffield Star, Craig Armstrong, former Sheffield Wednesday, currently an FA scout. We'll talk a bit more about what that job means. No James Gregg this evening, which means I'm going to have to do a pale imitation of what he normally does, with one or two mentions of other sports. Note's just been handed to me by one of the guys who does a brilliant job in the control room just behind where you are. That's Baz Abdul Basit. He's got a Facebook page. Just look at Baz on Facebook. I don't know what this is about other than the sentence he's written me. Sunday, 16th of July, 2017. He's getting up a rowing team. I suppose that would be on the River Don or the South Yorkshire Canal. 8 more players are needed. That means he hasn't got any so far. Players, rowers, 8 more rowers needed for a running team. Look at Baz's Facebook page. Before I get on to other events, there was something that I noticed here on Twitter just before we came on air, and I've put it in my sort of favourites here so I can get it up onto my screen. Harry Kewell, ex-Leeds United star, Australian of course, has been sacked by Watford. Now, people are going to say, oh, didn't know he was at Watford. What does he do at Watford? He was until today the under-23s manager at Watford. And what's unusual is that Watford have sacked him for poor results. This is the under-23s. I've got the record up here somewhere. Results are understood to be the key reason behind the decision. They've won just twice since October. But I understood that, you know, at progressive levels like this, that results weren't everything. I've not heard something like this before, have you?
That's a first for me. I think we spoke off air about this. It depends on the clubs, what the club are looking for. So Watford are predominantly a sacking club. They'll sack a manager who kept them in the Premiership 2 years ago, and I can't even remember where the manager's gone to now. And he's actually doing really, really well. But that's what the club will do, and if that's what they think...
Jokanovic left, didn't he?
Yeah.
After getting them promotion.
Yeah.
And he's now at Fulham.
Yeah, that's right. He's at Fulham. Sorry. Yeah. And they play excellent football. So, isn't it? If that's what Watford want to do, you know, it just makes a mockery of a lot of things. But you look at a lot of the clubs up and down the Football League, and Colchester are one that I'll talk about, is that they believe they're a Cat 2. In League 3, Cat 2 Academy. Those who don't know what categorisations are, you've got your Cat 1, the Premier League pay more money if you invest a lot more money, and I think it's more geared for that the players in the Cat 2s of Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday, your Cat 3 that might be a Rotherham, those players could potentially leave and go to the Cat 1 clubs a lot cheaper. Yeah. To get a player out from a...
But you're developing the player rather than the team.
Yeah, you are.
Sheffield Wednesday are taking great pride in the fact that they're under-23s, albeit beaten by the Blades under-23s this week. The Owls ones are top of the table, looking to clinch the title. But, you know, that's not the main objective of the whole thing, James, is it?
You wouldn't have thought so. I just wonder if... it's just because, as you said, we did discuss this off air.
Yeah.
And as you said, it does really boil down to what the club want. I mean, at the face of it, it seems ridiculous. The only thing I just wonder is you perhaps got to look at maybe the players that they've got in the under-23s, the age groups that they're using there.
They feel they're not developing.
Because you would feel at some point...
But they say results. It's to do with results.
The only thing... I'm playing devil's advocate here, because, by the way, it does sound strange. It does sound really stupid.
Yeah.
But surely there's got to come a point in football, and you would think if it's not in the under-23s, when is it? When these players are actually learning how to win matches. Yeah. Because it must be terribly, it must be hard enough. Say if you're a young kid who's come through Watford's youth system, which I mean certainly used to be superb. I mean, wasn't it? It was a standard bearer for the type of things that I mean. Some of the stuff that Nick Cox, who of course was at Sheffield United, who's at Manchester United now. Yeah. You know, that he brought up to Shirecliffe were excellent. But there's got to come a point when, you know, players, as I say, know how to win football matches. It's difficult enough to make that break. I would have thought, you know, to make that breakthrough from development football into the first team, as it is. If you've come on, you know, if you're trying to come in on the back of 15 defeats in a row, I know I'm exaggerating there slightly, It's made it even more difficult.
Looking at that, might have been 15 defeats.
Yeah,
It might have been. Only one couple of times since, when I say December or something, or anyway, it's on results.
I think listen, I think it's a touchy subject within academies because, like you say, when does it become about winning? You know, I grew up, whatever game I played in, I wanted to win, and I think we've lost that little bit. Listen, the good players, regardless, will come through. Without any coaching whatsoever, the good players, who they are, without any coach, any help, will come through. Like your Paul Gascoignes, Chris Waddles, people like that. They'll come through regardless. The academies are really good because all the information that the boys get, all the help they get, the nutritional advice, the psychological advice, because it's needed, especially with the diverse backgrounds kids are coming from these days and the financial restraints that families have. It's a big responsibility. Training 15 hours a week, games, and potentially coming in at under 9 and being released at under 16s, it can be devastating to some kids. But when does it become winning? And I think that's the hardest thing. And, you know, do I agree with it? No. But the club, there'll be other factors that will have been played into that,
Perhaps,
you know.
that aren't out there. Sheffield United's kids, you know, you reeled off a few names earlier. I mean, there's a lot of talent there, but it's a perverse sort of thing, really. They're getting promotion it's made it more difficult for them to break through there, hasn't it? Not that we want
do you know what? This season, I mean, the one thing that we said earlier, Sheffield United have made a huge amount of mistakes while they've been in League One. Probably made a huge amount of mistakes since they come out of the Premier League, actually, by the way. The one thing that they've consistently done well at that football club is actually produce young players, I think, and develop their academy system. And I do really think it's something that they're genuinely proud of. I think this year, it's fair to say, it's probably taken in terms of bringing the players through into the first team, it's probably taken a slight step back because he's never actually said it explicitly, but I'm damn sure Chris has probably come in when he took the job and thought, you know what, this club, this is the 6th season in League One. There comes a point when I think the job of a manager, you just got to get this football club out of this division.
That and only that kind of thing.
And the one thing that you do get with young players, and again, we said this off air, you know, they're a little bit more inconsistent, aren't they? You've got to accept that they're going to make mistakes. I think he's just looked at the first team squad there this year and thought, you know what, I want as fewer mistakes as possible. I want the team to be as consistent as possible. So I'm going to lump in with experienced players. I think, interestingly enough, I just wonder if they establish themselves in the Championship, I actually think, you know what, it might even be slightly easier to bring those players through again.
Yeah, I think you could have a point. It depends on, then again, what Chris's remit is and what his, is it stability, is it just, you know, surviving, is it to push to try and...
I don't think consolidation's not in his dictionary, I don't think.
It's not, of course not, because he's a winner.
Club on the
we
roll
talk about
well.
winning, all he's ever done is win. He wants to get promoted all the time, everywhere he's been, he's had success, and, you know, he's a blade himself. That's all he wants. Now, what you will get is you'll get a better calibre, without being disrespectful, the players that have brought the team up, but potentially a better calibre of players. But then Chris is going to have to look at their makeup with that player. Is he what's going to fit into the club? Topped up with the fact that you've got several of the first year and second year scholars who play a lot of 23 football, who are going to be a year better with experience, who potentially could be dipped in and out in cup games where possibly the cup games aren't going to be the main priority in the Championship.
What is going to change is the club's ability to keep hold of talents that make it.
I was just going to say, this is the other thing, I think, where in fairness it's been quite a fallow year for them in terms of bringing players through, is because you've set me off now with E-triple-P. Yeah, but, you know, other than one, I think there was one, possibly one exception to this. He's doing remarkably well in the Premier League now, but I don't perhaps think he was possibly Chris's type of player.
Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, but I think by and large, you know, these players, they've gone on to Premier League football clubs, the better players who would have possibly been involved with the first team this year, and they've gone for what, for a League One club, is big, big money. It's impossible to say no to. It's a drop in the ocean for a Premier League club. But, you know, in League One, where you've got all these boring things that people always shout at you and write in funny emails when you talk about them, but that they've got to take into account financial fair play, salary cost management protocol. You know,
And
£1 million
player.
to a League One club is an awful lot of money. I think,
and the player's been offered 5 times his current
so it's
wages.
disappointing to see them go, but if they use it properly, it can also be a great advertisement, because you know, you can then say to the young kids, I think the one thing that Sheffield United have done possibly slightly differently to some of the other clubs is they've been very, very open in the fact that we actually want the best from this region. We're going to focus on bringing players through from Sheffield, South Yorkshire and the North Midlands. It can be a great recruitment tool, that, because you can say, listen, look, you come to us in a couple of years' time, you can be playing for Everton, you can be playing for Hull.
Yeah.
You know,
I think they've got a good tool that they link in very well with the colleges. They've brought in a couple of boys from college systems. I run one in Nottingham with Baseford United, which are in the same league as Stocksbridge.
Yes.
So it's and the boy came to Sheffield United, and unfortunately for Kamani, he got released. I don't think he was Chris's type of player, but he's still only a year in his development. You know, this boy was released from Notts County at a young age. Now it's up to him what he does. Does he go on to another club? Does he scrat around? Or I think he wants to go to America and potentially try and come in a different route. Yeah. There is different routes, and there's good opportunities for footballers from academies to go and kick on somewhere else.
You mentioned non-league football around here. It's very healthy at the moment. Hallam are in the playoffs. Congratulations again to them. Sheffield FC have had a good season of progression under Jazz Colliver. And Stocksbridge Park Steels, I've promised a special mention to them this week, because it's one of those rare Saturdays where there isn't a professional game in Sheffield. No, United are at Port Vale, let me say, tomorrow, not Walsall, and Sheffield Wednesday at home tomorrow as well. So Stocksbridge Park Steels, get along and support them. They're gunning for the playoffs. Had a fantastic win during the week at... I've forgotten where, I've got it written down there somewhere. I know it's got Rushden and Diamonds. That's where it was. They won. Yeah. I'm struggling with geography at the moment. So, and there's a special offer to Owls and Blades supporters. Those with season tickets, just produce your season ticket at the gate at Stocksbridge Park Steels on Saturday, and it's admission for £5, and I'm sure it'll be well worth it. They're in playoff positions with 3 games to go, so we wish them well. Basketball, just 1 or 2 other mentions of sport. Sheffield Sharks are thriving as well. They're in 4th position with 3 games of the regular season remaining, and they're at home Good Friday tomorrow, 7:30 against Bristol Flyers. Good luck to them. And Sheffield Steelers. Now I'm going to come to a little bit of footage, and we all like our celebrations, goal celebrations or whatever. There was one that we mentioned who had a Blade special last week with Len Badger here and with club director Martin Green, and we enjoyed reliving Chris Wilder. What would you call Chris Wilder's attempted
well, it was the Klinsmann, wasn't it? It was the Jurgen Klinsmann.
But he crawled along on his stomach, didn't he, when the second goal went in. But none of that has got anything to compare with ice hockey, what happens on the ice. And we have to congratulate Sheffield Steelers, playoff winners yet again. The 10th time in 21 years they won the playoffs, besides all the titles they've won. And they did it in the most spectacular fashion last weekend at Nottingham with a sudden death added time winner at 5 goals each with Cardiff Devils. Let's have a look at goal 6 now.
Face off deep in Cardiff territory. Andreas Valdix punched over it. Face off won brilliantly though by Ulmer for Cardiff. So much respect for all of those players out there who have just put everything in. Here's Levi Nelson for the Sheffield Steelers, cuts to the middle. Nelson scores! The Sheffield Steelers are the playoff champions! Levi Nelson goes top shelf, and Cardiff's Grand Slam dreams are over.
Great shot coming in off his off wing. The way it got turned over, Cardiff's D-men were a little high maybe. It just gave Nelson a little bit of room just to take a step to the middle. Short side upstairs over the... I think Bounds definitely got a piece of it, but couldn't get enough to stop it going in the net.
What a goal from Levi Nelson. A championship-winning goal from Levi Nelson.
Seth Bennett there. Seth Bennett really enjoying that. And we all enjoyed just reliving that. That was some celebration. Actually, what a goal as well. You know, it wasn't just a scramble from close range, was it? Terrific shot into the top corner. Enjoy that.
I live in Nottingham, and I was actually around the ice rink, and the atmosphere was weather was not bad. The atmosphere was good. Obviously, with all the hockey fans flying around, and I've been in Nottingham 20 odd years. I've never seen a hockey match yet.
I'd recommend.
That's quite poor, isn't it?
No, it's great. It is. Yeah, it's a great sport to go and watch.
It is great spectacle. And Dave Sims, Mr. Sheffield Steelers, writes a captivating column in the Sheffield Telegraph every week. Insight and passion every time from Mr. Sims. So many players, he reveals this week, needed pain-killing injections for that game, including the scorer of the winning goal, who at the end of normal time, there's no way he was going to come on. He insisted on an injection.
I'll tell you what, that's where I'm waffling on slightly here, but that's where I first really got into it. And I probably shouldn't be saying this in Sheffield, but it was actually at Hull. And I can remember going into I was fortunate enough to be invited into the locker room, as they say, of course.
Yes.
And watching, before the game, a guy with a broken foot have his foot just sort of wrenched into this, into the skate, which was quite something to see. So, all due respect for that. But it was the bloodshot eyes when they came off afterwards, after the game as well. And that's when you thought, these guys really do put an awful lot in here.
They do, don't they? Yeah. I mean, it could put footballers to shame in terms of what they go through with the pain barrier.
With all the army they've got, I know, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I know. We have a guy who's come in a couple of times, the Sheffield Steelers skipper, Jonathan Phillips. He's the most mild-mannered, nice, self-effacing fella that you could ever wish to meet. You could not imagine. And I've watched some footage this week. I'll show it one week of him in a full-scale fight.
A few footballers like that, though, isn't there?
There's a few nice guys.
A few players like that.
Nice guys you wouldn't come across. Dave Sims promising that he'll bring the coach Paul Thompson in to the studio during the summer. That'll be a programme to look forward to for Steelers fans. Right, back to football. Are the Owls going to do it? What do you think, Craig? Are they going to be in the playoffs?
Yeah, they're in a good position at the moment. They've still got is it four games left?
Yeah.
Why not? It's in their own hands. Results. I can't see everyone who's in and around the playoffs now winning all 4 games. People have still got to play each other. They're in a good position, and they've just got to keep winning their games of football and concentrate on themselves. And
last game's at home to Fulham, which is handy, isn't it?
Well, I think Fulham have. I watched Fulham against Newcastle at St James's Park.
And I was there.
And I thought Fulham were outstanding. Kearney in midfield, the ex-Leeds boy, born in Nottingham, I think, was one of the best midfielders I've seen in the league. And then I went to watch them against Derby, and Fulham were outstanding again. And the Fulham goalkeeper chucked in 3, which Derby were poor. Derby ended up winning a game 4-2, I think it finished.
They've also got Kevin McDonald playmaking there.
Yeah.
They've got a great midfield.
Ryan Session, only still 16. Yeah. Not 17 till May. They're a good side. But I think the last few results have killed them, and I think it's beyond them now. Yeah. So I think it's in Sheffield Wednesday's hands.
Your role with the FA, and we need encouragement where England are concerned. Tournament football, we think that our young players are lacking the hardening effect of, galvanising effect of tournament football, but that's changing, isn't it, this summer?
I've been in a role with the FA now. It's called Talent ID Reporter. We all know it as a scout. So my job is to go around to academies, look at the players who are playing games of football, and if they stand out, put a report on them. And the idea is that potentially they could go on and play for England. Now we have under 15s, 16s, all the way through to under 21s, and then obviously the seniors. Now, what the England FA are trying to do, it's all based around the 2022 World Cup. We want to win the World Cup, and at the moment, we feel that if we can give as many kids who are talented players an opportunity to play tournaments, play against different nationalities, different cultures, different environments. So, for example, our under-15s went to Brazil just before Christmas, played a double-header against Brazil on their patch. It gives them a better opportunity going up through the age groups to then hopefully when you come to play in a World Cup where it really matters, to potentially go on and win that.
Yeah. There's an international youth tournament here in Sheffield now every summer,
Yeah,
organised by
Jürgen
Trophy. You're well aware of it, organised by youaretheref.com. And that is, again, giving kids, younger kids...
It's massive. The youth football at the moment and tournaments, it's important. When I played, I was very fortunate. I was at Nottingham Forest, who the manager, Brian Clough, at the time, encouraged youth teams to go abroad. I went to Holland, Germany, France to play tournaments, and clubs are starting to do it more now. Finances are getting a lot better in football clubs. They're encouraging kids to go. So you've got Everton, you've got Man United at the moment. Under 18s are actually over in Dallas, playing in the Dallas Cup, which is it's a great experience for them to play against these top sides. There's some tournaments at the end of the season where your Real Madrids and Bayern Munich's play. Premier League organised tournaments. Bayern Munich have been over, Borussia Dortmund, Juventus. Teams like this to play against people their own age, but from different cultures. Yeah. So the whole idea, I mean, it's exciting times for England, I think, because you've got the under-20s have just qualified for the World Cup. You've got the under-19s have just qualified for the European Championships. You've got the under-17s have just qualified for European Championships. The 21s have qualified for their European Championships. We've also entered into the Toulon tournament. Yeah. So potentially the under-18s, which isn't a qualifying year, could be a team that goes and plays in this under-21 tournament with. So listen, it's exciting.
Yeah. And a stone's throw 8 or 10 years into the future could get a lot of benefit from that. So we look forward to that.
You've got George Hurst, David Hurst lad, who's in England, set up scoring goals for England, doing fantastically well. You've got players. You've got some unbelievable talent in this country. But I think the main problem you've got, which you've spoke about earlier, it's that pathway. Yeah. And if players don't get that pathway, that's when it becomes a little bit more difficult. And I think if things can change going forward with Premiership and Championship clubs, I think the EFL have changed that now with more homegrown players being included on the bench. It can only be good for this country nationally. 2
minutes left, looking into the future. Sheffield United, there's probably a reluctance at the moment to actually say, well, he might not be good enough, we might need to replace him, players in that area, let them enjoy it. But clearly, A, how do you think they're going to do in the Championship? And B, how much activity will there be?
I'll tell you what, I won't be reluctant, Alan. I'll tell you now. I don't think there'll be as much as people possibly think, because I think there'll be certain areas where they'll target and look to bring in a little bit of quality. I think other than that, there's already a core of players there who are more than capable of playing in the Championship, either because they've played there before and done well with other clubs, or in the case of someone like John Fleck, I know he was there sort of briefly with Blackpool. You look at him, this is going to sound ridiculous, he'll look an even better player, I think, in the Championship. He's been superb in the midfield.
Coots can do it there.
Yeah, he can do it there. Chris Basham can do it there. Simon Moore can do it there. Samir Carruthers can do it there. And there's others as well. The other thing, I actually hope they don't do a lot of business, because the one thing, I think we've seen it often with clubs in this patch before, they've got a great spirit there. It's the football, it's the quality of the football that's got them up, but it's that team spirit that's underpinned everything. And, I actually think it would be a real shame if they just took a hammer to that and said, let's start again. There's no point.
Chris will be very alive to protecting that, whatever he does. It will be that he'll look to bring a bit of added quality into a few areas, but like you, I don't see a massive influx of players.
No, and I don't think they need
quality over quantity.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
Well, that's been what this last hour's been. Quality and quantity.
Definitely.
Thank you very much, James Shield. Always a pleasure to see you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. And neither Craig Armstrong either. We could have filled 2 hours. On my YouTube later, repeat at 11. See you next week. Bye. Bye.